Hi everyone. Our discussion for today is all about the art of argumentation, which is the final discussion for the finals period for my class English 116 argumentation. At the end of the lecture, you should be able to first demonstrate understanding on the nature of argumentation, its basis and issues that it raises. Second, examine the checklist in effective argumentation and the ways of strengthening an argument. And lastly, apply the art of argumentation through speech delivery and by writing an argumentative essay, which is a final requirement in this class aside from the argumentative speech. First, what is an argument? Do you think that it is about winning? It is about asserting your position, convincing someone else, listening, speaking, or finding the truth of the matter? An argument is generally defined as a reason or set of reasons with or given with the aim of persuading others that an action or idea is right or wrong. And there are three bases of arguments. I am hoping that you could still remember this because this were presented during our discussion about the early rhetorical practices. So the arguments are based and should only be based on the following. First, credibility or the ethos, the credibility of the speaker, the background of the speaker. How could he or she talk about something if, in the first place, he or she is not credible about it? Second, logic or logos. You need to make sure that the argument or the claims that you are presenting are logically relevant. And then third, emotional draw or pathos. You need to make sure that your arguments are emotionally engaging, something which the masses or the people or the audience in your speech could relate to. And how do you do that? I would like to reiterate on this. You need to always go back to the different instincts of men. It is only by knowing those instincts that you will know how to make your arguments and the examples that you are going to include in your speech emotionally appealing. So, from this three bases of an argument, you could now create issues. And there are three kinds of issues. We have the issue of fact, the issue of definition, and the issue of value. What does it mean? It means that it is not enough for you to simply establish a claim or an argument about the matter. It is important that you know the nature of the matter, you know the nature of the problem at hand, so that at the same time you could construct very well your arguments based on or following the different kinds of issues. The issue of fact answers the question, did something happen or does it exist? Because of these guide questions, you can now construct your own claim or argument about the matter. So, this will now serve as your guiding principle in strengthening your claims in your speech. You may also use the issue of definition. This answers the question, what is the meaning of the happening or thing? You may also use the issue of value in constructing your arguments. That is, by answering the question, shall we consider the event good or bad? Your powers of synthesis and analysis and reasoning will grow when you examine arguments on the basis of issues they raise, be it through fact, definition, or value. So, again, you need to make sure that you will be able to first examine the arguments or the issues that your arguments raise so that you could construct powerful claims or arguments in your speech. The use of issues in argumentation is very important, And let me tell you the story behind the death of Claudius. So, in this story, there are three characters. We have Milo, Claudius, and Cicero rather. And Milo is a very prominent Roman politician, but he was charged with murder of his political opponent Claudius. In this case, the issues in argumentation functioned very well. And as I go through with the story, you will take note of how significant it really is for you to understand the issue or the issue so that you could construct very well your arguments. So, in his defense of Milo, Cicero, the defender of Milo, conceded the issue of fact. Why did he consider the issue of fact? Why did he disregard it? Because when we use here the issue of fact or the definition of something, it is simply or it could be simply defined that Milo did kill Claudius. So if he will be using the issue of fact in his argument, then Milo will be convicted with murder. So instead, Cicero focused his case on the definition of murder, contending that Milo killed Claudius only in self defense, which is allowable under the rules of the natural law. So Cicero emphasized that Claudius had laid in ambush, planning to kill Milo. Therefore, it was right for the attacked man to defend himself to the point of slaying his assailant. In addition, Cicero also defended Milo through the use of the issue of value. Cicero contended that Claudius was in such a sense of disrepute that many senators expressed relief when learning of the death of Claudius. In Cicero's view, Romans owed gratitude to Milo for rendering the valuable service of removing an enemy of the state. I am hoping that you were able to internalize this short story because through this, because of Cicero's intelligence on how to use the threefold division of arguments through fact, issue, and definition, he was able now to construct arguments in benefit of Milo. After all, he is the defender of Milo. So again, in the situation, in the death of Claudius, the issue of fact was disregarded because if we are just going to look at the facts, Milo really killed Claudius. But through the use of the issue of definition, which is the definition of murder, as a way, and he defended here Milo that murder was only committed because of self defense, and also through the issue of value, in which he defended Milo that what he did is only correct or rightful. After all, Claudius is considered as an enemy of the state. So, through the use of the smart use of this issue, Cicero was able to defend Milo very well and won the case. So, that is the power of knowing the nature of the issue at hand so that you could construct well your arguments. So I also have here the checklist in argumentation. And this is a significant guiding tool for every beginner in the art of argumentation. So what are these? First is the claim. You need to make sure that you really know of what you are trying to prove in your speech or in your argumentative essay. What is your thesis statement or the lead argument or your lead stand? You need to be very specific with that. And then, second is the support. What is the evidence or the data that supports your claim? Are the references of your evidence valid? Make sure that your references are valid. Make sure that your references came from reputable sources or experts. We also have the warrant as the third part of this checklist. It answers the questions: what is the reasoning involved in my claim together with the evidence I cited? Are the parts of my argument logically connected? You need to create a balance between the arguments and then the data that you present, because if you failed to present claims, then what now is the guarantee that you will be winning the case or the argument? And then fourth, the qualifiers. How certain is your claim? When and where should you use qualifiers like mainly, mostly, probably, in many cases, etc.? Because this could be dangerous in the art of argumentation. Careless use of these qualifiers, such as mainly, mostly, probably, in many cases, without looking at the statistical data, could lead to the so-called hasty generalization, or you simply generalize everything without first citing the statistical facts about it. If in the statistical data that you have, you could see that really a large percentage or most of the percentage of the data are this and that, then therefore you could use the qualifiers like mainly, mostly, and in many cases. But if it is not supported by statistical data, please do refrain from using qualifiers. And then fifth, the reservations. It answers the questions: what are the counter arguments? Can I be rebutted or opposed? How and in what ways? So why do you think, or why do you need to think of the possible counter arguments, although there is no actual argumentation that is happening in our class, simply a delivery of argumentative speeches? This is to cross examine the strength of your arguments against the possible counter arguments. Through this, you will have the ability to further strengthen your claims in your speech or in your argumentative essay. You should also need to take note of this, that there is a need to use a variety of reliable current evidence. Make sure that the source of your evidence is valid and reliable and is updated and not outdated. Use any or all of the following to support your argument. You may use facts, or what really is the truth about the matter. You may cite statistical data. You may use expert testimony. Again, expert testimony. It needs to come from experts or authorities of the field concerned in your speech. You may also use charts, graphs, tables, and surveys, because these are effective visual representation of the statistical data that you have. You may also use detailed documented examples like video clips or still images or photos. You may also use personal interviews. You may also use first-hand experience and your personal observation about the issue that you are talking about in your argumentative speech. And always remember that all arguments require proof. The basic rule in argumentation and in debate as well is that if you cannot present proofs to what you claim, do not bother to say it. You need to avoid doing or making hasty generalization, giving an unfounded assertion, making a sweeping assumption, making an overstatement or an understatement. Again, you need to present facts. You need to support each argument with proofs so that there is a guarantee for your part to win the case. So here are ways to strengthen your reasons. So, strong reasons are those which logically support the speaker's personal stand on the matter or topic. It needs to be specific, clear, and convincing. The reasons must be based on the following: comparison, contrast, and cause and effect. These um, techniques in presenting your reasons or in strengthening your reasons may be very common with you, but I tell you, these are very effective in presenting the strong claims that you have in your speech. Please also take note of these general abilities in argumentation. You need to be able to carefully analyze the question. You need to make sure that you have a strong reasoning power with you. You need to make sure that you use quality language in your speech. You need also to make sure that you have the ability to talk to the audience in your speech through the establishment of the so-called rapport or connection. And you need to be able to prepare effectively before the speech delivery. And of course, you need to apply all the rules of argumentation together with the rules of public speaking and persuasion, because argumentation is the bottom line of all the speech activities that we had in this class. And so, as a guiding question before you proceed with your argumentation speech delivery for my class, who has communicated well? If you think you were able to communicate well your claims and your arguments in your speech, then therefore you won in this argumentation activity. If you think that you still lack the necessary proofs or evidence in your speech, then please do further research. If you think that you still lack the conviction in your speech delivery, you lack the proper gestures in your speech delivery, then still make some practice in your delivery. And finally, here are my references for this discussion. Thank you.